South West England will today be named as the UK's first official hub for marine power. The technology uses the water to generate electricity, and a British inventor has come up with a device that has already caught the government's eye. Have a look at it now in Katie Stallard's report.
It might not look like much at first, but this small yellow boy could be the future of renewable energy in this country. Now attracting more than just the curious glance of locals, this prototype device claims to do what no renewable technology has done before, to make green electricity cheap.
It's really only a bicycle pump with a float on it. As this pump goes up and down, it sucks seawater in and pumps seawater out purely through the action of the waves.
In the absence of waves, we're using hydraulics to lift the float, but out at sea it would move up and down of its own accord. It's effectively hydropower without the dam.
You've got the sea raiser in the water. That will be operated by the waves and swell. Anything from half a metre swell or more, it will work. You pump it to a tank or a reservoir, and then you can hydro on demand electricity through your turbine.
But what's really interesting about this device is the cost, because for all of the good intentions and the moral imperative to use renewable energy, it's really only ever going to work if it's economically viable. And that's why this is significant. Not only is it relatively inexpensive to make, the people behind it think it can produce electricity more cheaply than existing fossil fuels. It costs around 10 pence to produce a unit of electricity using coal. With natural gas, it's about 8 pence. New nuclear costs 10 pence and offshore wind at least 16 pence. The makers of Sea Raiser claim it will cost less than 2 pence.
What's happening with fossil fuels is as the stuff is running out, the price is going up, and the price of renewable energy is coming down, and they're going to cross over at some point in the very near future. This has the potential to speed that up. And at the point at which renewable energy is cheaper than fossil fuels, nobody's going to bother with fossil fuels.
And the potential for marine energy using this new technology has already got the government's attention.
We believe there's as much as 27 gigawatts of electricity out there to be harnessed. That's the equivalent of 8 nuclear power stations, a huge resource going untapped.
The finished Sea Raiser will be around 13 times this size. They aim to deploy it within 12 months. In 5 years, they want to have 200 around the country, enough, they claim, to power a city the size of Liverpool. Katie Stallard, Sky News, Dartmouth.
We're going to go live now to Bristol, which is part of this whole area, and there's Johnny Gowdy. Johnny's the Programme Director for the Sustainable Energy Consultancy, Region South West. Johnny, now all this sounds very, very exciting if it all works, and that is the question. The problem with alternative energy, I suppose, up until now is that it's been too weak, too expensive, too unpredictable.
I think that's right, Eamon. The marine energy sector, we're talking about wave and tidal energy, is really at a critical point. The technology does work. Like, we do know how to harness energy from the waves and from the tidal resources. You've probably seen the marine current turbines, a tidal device at Strangford Lough in Northern Ireland, which was designed here in Bristol, and that's been generating energy for the last couple of years. So that's not the question. The question is, how do we get that energy ashore, and how do we get it at a price that it's acceptable to the UK consumer and indeed the global consumer?
And those are things you're going to have to work at. I think another exciting thing is the distance, the area that you're taking in this park. So this will stretch all the way from Bristol down to where?
The Marine Energy Park, the South West Marine Energy Park, the designation stretches from Bristol down to Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. And one of the reasons that it does cover such a long area is that there is a range of energy resources within that geography. So we have very high tidal range resources in the Bristol Channel and tidal stream. We have offshore wind, and then down around Cornwall and off the western approaches in the Isles of Scilly, we've got very good wave resources. So within the Marine Energy Park, we've got a lot of things to play with, and we can develop different technologies that can harness that energy.
Over what time, Johnny, on that? Sorry for interrupting you. I was just wondering what scale and time and when we could expect to see some sort of results on this.
Well, it's a very interesting discussion, and that's something that the government has been talking to the industry about over the last 6 months. There is a Marine Energy Programme Board, and they're talking in terms of a technology development phase over the next 7 to 10 years. And during that time, we will see demonstration devices, small arrays, for instance, at places like Wave Hub, which has been specifically designed to test these devices off the north coast of Cornwall. But we won't see, if I could call it, utility scale projects, so say 100 megawatts or 200 megawatt projects, until the latter part of this decade and into the 2020s. So this is something that's going to come along probably after offshore wind. But as your earlier report says, the potential there to generate cheap energy is fantastic. And I would emphasise that this isn't just a UK industry. You know, we're already working with people in Canada, in North America, across Europe, and indeed in Asia. And I think it's the fact that wave energy and tidal energy is found throughout the world that makes it such an attractive market.
Well, Johnny, good luck to you. We hope it works. We need it to work. The world needs it to work. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to take a break there. Right after that, I'm going to be talking to the woman who has spent in her lifetime, she's 51 years of age, over £500,000 on plastic surgery. We do that because today there are calls for adverts for cosmetic surgery.